gratuity was a weird thing because I knew that it would affect the team in a weird way, and I would definitely have to have more confrontation than I had with them before.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cyd Charisse.
And I'm David Bosher.
And you're listening to Destroy the Hairdresser,
where we teach you to salon differently.
If you are still using a front desk in your salon, it may be time to future-proof your business with Aura Salonware. Aura allows you and your team to check clients out from any device. That means there's no need for a front desk or front desk overhead. What's even more amazing is that clients can check themselves out using the Aura app from their own device. With Aura Salonware, you can finally let technology streamline your business. Start removing your front desk today by visiting aurasalonware.com/DTH to receive special discounts and promos. Are you exhausted trying to get your team to understand the cost of product use? Let's jump into the future with Salon Scale. Have more proactive conversations with real numbers that can help create less waste. Salon Scale software is a pro stylist app that gets your team educated on the real costs of doing business.
Salon Scale is a great solution for wasting less color and making more profit. Visit salonscale.com/DTH and use code DTH10 at checkout for 10% off. I want to just say, for those of you watching, you can see the hat that I'm referencing.
Mm-hmm.
But for those of you listening, Cyd is wearing a trucker hat that I told her I don't think goes.
He said I look stupid and ugly and he hated me.
I didn't say that. I said I don't think it's flattering, but I expect you all to leave comments below.
I love it. And I'm wearing it, and I'm rocking it.
I don't usually like feedback, but I think
confident
feedback
in
is
it.
necessary.
You know what I was really hoping? I forgot to text you.
Well,
Kate
first of all,
Kent.
they don't know Kate's here.
Kate Kent, who's here in the studio.
We started before you go there. We started interviewing our coaches and talking about their experiences because we want you all to get to know them better as well.
Amazing.
And we have Kate Kent here with us today.
I'm here.
She is here. She's been a student, a coach. She's a salon owner. She's a mother. She's everything.
An artist.
She's every woman. She's everything we want to be. And we're happy to have you.
I want to be Kate.
Me. Anything you want done, baby.
Yeah.
It's true. Can I mop? Yes.
Can I talk? Yes.
Oh my gosh.
This is what our meetings are like,
What
too.
do you want to know?
I want to know. I can tell you what I want to know. I want to know. I was your coach
Yes.
back in the day.
And still currently.
And still currently.
Weird how that
But
works.
before you were a coach with Destroy the Hairdresser, I remember getting your call. I was walking in New York City. I was walking somewhere, and I apologized to you. I was like, I'm really sorry. I'm not in my office to take this call. It was a discovery call.
Mm-hmm.
And when you and I used to do them.
Yeah.
And
Wow, you've been around for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Kate said, I don't care that you're not in your office. I want to open a salon. This is what I want to do. And spewed all this stuff at me. And I was so excited to get started, but I want to hear your experience. What was your experience?
Version of that call.
As a
Well, I
student?
think I sent a submission through email or whatever messaging system, whatever archaic thing was
Yeah.
we had back then.
It went to us.
It was a form that was into our email.
You texted me immediately and was like, "Can you speak now?" And I was like, "Yikes." I was like, "I guess we're doing this." So I said, "Yes." So yeah, then we talked on the phone. And I said I want to open a salon and I don't know what I'm doing. Because I had a situation that kind of fell apart. And I realized that while I could do hair and while I could be self-employed, getting a lease and owning a whole business, I was like, I really don't know what I'm doing. And so I need help. And I can't get help from anyone in my area, like any other salon owners, because I don't want to do what they're doing. So I was like, I need somebody who's completely outside of all of this that can really help me. But yeah, horns honking in the background. Are we holding hands?
This is what you needed.
Yes. I needed the hands.
What was it like being a student? What was your expectation and what was the actual experience?
Holy cow. The experience was not at all what I expected.
You've seen so many versions of it too.
I've seen a lot of versions,
with the company.
but like on my first call, which interestingly enough, I took in my car, and it was so hot that day, and I had the air conditioning on, and then after our first call, my car wouldn't start, and I was like, but I just learned about this. Because our first call is all about like nothing to do with business. It's like, what are the things that like get you going, like internally, like the reactive system and like these different parts of you. And I was like, well, this doesn't necessarily tell me what to do in order to like sign this lease or like get employees or whatever I need to do. But it all actually really connected for me. I was like, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm the problem.
Hey,
It's me.
I'm the problem.
I'm
it's
the
me.
problem. My brain is too dang busy.
So you, so you expected it to be more business right away.
Yeah, I thought there were going to be, well, this is what you do, you know, because I had been in like
ABC.
all
One,
of the
2, 3.
hairdresser courses, all of the
Everything's a checklist.
just step by step. This is what you do first, and there's always a wheel involved, right?
There is always a wheel
There is.
involved.
Yes, it's a circular experience, and there's a wheel. You go to discover something, and then you go to solve the problem.
We did.
We
well,
need a DTH wheel.
We don't have a wheel, and we
No.
didn't have a wheel at the
And
start.
nor will we.
Because
Nor
we
will
try
we.
to get people
Nor will we.
off the wheel. The hamster
Exactly.
wheel, destroy the wheel.
So the experience was different than you expected. And what was the outcome for you? Like, were there moments where you were like, I signed up for business coaching, and now I'm doing something. Like, were there moments of like, what am I doing? What am I learning? Like, what was that internal dialogue for you? Because I think a lot of people
Yeah, yes and no.
think that.
Like, I think I just understood what was happening. Like, I understood that the beginning of this process was going to be, we got to figure out Kate so that Kate's not the same as everyone else and doesn't make the same mistakes and recreate this whole thing.
Did you feel like you were the same as everyone else prior to? Like, I feel like
no.
since I've met you, you stood out on your own. You just didn't want to be like everyone
No,
else.
I definitely have always stuck out like a sore thumb.
I love every part
Sometimes
of that.
intentionally and sometimes unintentionally. I'm like, I just don't fit in anywhere. So like I knew that it was all about me really building this not necessarily self-esteem, but like understanding of like who I am,
Selfness.
what I'm doing, having the confidence to be able to see it through. And reflecting back on that like first thing before we even spoke of like, okay, well, you wanted to get this space and now it didn't happen. And look at like this breakdown that you had. And like, that's really pathetic. So I was,
That's not what I said.
you did not say that. But I felt that. I was like, it's like what, like a very small thing. And it felt like so crushing. And I was like, if I'm going to own a business and really do this, like I can't have these things be so crushing.
Right.
Yeah.
Even
It's part of the
though they-
process. You don't have to like it, but
what
it's part of the journey.
What was the thing that like, because we did open a salon during your coaching experience, which was
We
so much
did.
fun, which I consider one of our biggest success stories because
It's
You didn't-
absolutely beautiful.
you didn't just open it, you opened it. It was bigger than you expected. It was more chairs than you had planned.
Yeah.
And you had a full staff right off the bat. But what do you think you got from DTH that you weren't getting from the other things that you had tried? Because like you said, we've all taken all the courses and we've taken all the coaching, we've taken all the classes. What was it why did this work?
I think because I didn't have to change who I was. Like a lot of it was like, you're not changing who you are. You're using that as a point of difference. And what you're trying to do is different. And this is exactly why it's going to work.
Right.
What was the question?
Why do you think this coaching program worked as compared to like maybe the other things you had tried?
I'm not sure. I definitely know that I wanted it to work.
Yeah.
So
That helps.
That
to be
might
honest,
be it.
whether it was you or somebody else, like I still would have probably done it.
Right.
Yeah.
It
open the
would
space.
would I have been maybe a mess? Maybe. Would I have been crazy? Would it have been exactly the same as something else? Maybe. But I think what happened with, I mean, there's so many layers to this, right? Like I grew as a human being, not just as a business owner. Like I didn't learn how a business operates at all, to be perfectly honest. But I figured out the tools to be able to figure it out on my own.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like you didn't
That's the
tell me
point, is
what to do at
critical
all.
thinking.
You were like, go meet 15 people that scare the shit out of you. And I was like, okay.
It was
Even though I
building
was
you
like,
up.
what?
That's your board of directors right there. Like
Yeah.
building the people around you to help you build what you need for your success, which is incredible.
I think when coaching different people, as a coach, when you have different students, it's hard to, I think what makes our program unique is like, it's not the same conversation with every student. It's not the same.
Yeah.
Like you get on the phone with student A, and you are a different coach for them than you are for student B. And I think that's what makes us a little bit different, is that it's not just, here's the script, here's the template, here's what you do. It's full on taking care of the person as a human. And I don't think a lot of business coaches venture into that, because it is it can be scary.
They'll be
and it's a lot
like,
of
here's your
responsibility.
checklist of everything you have to do to open a salon. But if that person isn't the person they're supposed to be at the end of that, it's all going to fail.
Yeah. You
So you have to grow into this new role too, which is incredible.
What do you think the biggest point of growth for you has been since being a student to now?
Getting a divorce.
Oh, man. We're going to go there.
To be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a thing that
There was a running joke in the company for a couple of years of all of our
How many
students are getting
divorces?
divorced.
Yeah, how many divorces?
well, but it
is
was
DTH
something
responsible
that
for?
like I knew was really holding me back as a human being and as a person. And what I saw through coaching was that I was using all of this work and all of these projects as a reactive escape from my relationship that I was unhappy in. And what's beautiful is that opening this business allowed me the opportunity to like get a divorce, because prior to that, it was financially scary and all of the stuff that goes with that. Like I didn't have the self-confidence to be able to say, you're not moving in the same direction as me. And while that is hard and difficult, see you later, bye.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks for nothing.
Do you think coaching,
Just kidding.
while people are,
Thanks for the 2 children.
while
See you later, bye.
While people are listening, they're like, oh God, we've actually had students that were afraid to start coaching.
Because they were like, are you going to make me leave my partner?
They heard that we make
if it's one of your goals.
I'm doing air quotes, but that we make people get divorces. But
Definitely not.
we don't make people get divorces, but why do you think being in a coaching program produces, how do I want to say, encourages some people to leave their partner?
I think a lot of us are in the business of making other people feel okay. And like people pleasing, hairdressers, like, you know, I spoke with some students the other day, and a lot of them, I asked what their goals were, and a lot of them said, I just really love making people feel good. And like that, like it makes me feel like it's not a goal. It's not a goal at all. Like it's nice.
It's nice.
It's nice.
And sometimes an obligation.
Yeah, and like at the end of your life, that is like, nobody's going to give a shit. So, I don't know, man. I think we're just all, I mean, I was so nice. I mean, I named my salon Nice Hair. Like, I'm just Midwestern nice. Like,
but why do you think coaching did coaching play a part in you getting a divorce? And in what way? Because I think people think when they hear that about DTH, they're like, that we coach someone to do that, but we don't. But why does coaching get someone in that headspace?
Being able to understand yourself, and it's hard to really explain, but like really understanding and having that self-awareness and like expanded viewpoint. Like that's something that we speak about a lot, is like, how can you look at from a bird's eye view, like the big picture perspective of like what you're doing, you know, and how does this affect you? How does this affect your life, your children, your finances? Like is it going to be the same thing over and over and over again? Like, are you transforming something that you want to? And I mean, emotional intelligence, which is one of the things that also for me is like really, really big, is like just being able to identify that this experience, certain experiences bringing up the same terrible emotion again and again and again. Like I then had the opportunity to say, oh, and I have a choice. So like coaching really taught me that you're not just pigeonholed into always feeling this way, but it then becomes a call to action.
That you can control your own life.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And then you're like, oh,
Who would have thought that?
I feel garbagey and I have a responsibility here to say, is that what I want?
Yeah.
And it isn't. And what am I going to do? And is the other thing really scary? Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
And do I think that I can still be okay facing all of this stuff?
Can I still open nice hair?
Can I still open a salon? Can I still,
Yeah.
get a dog? Can I still do hair? Can I still do all these other things that, as a youngster, I was like, you're an artist, So, I don't know. It's very
Speaking of artists,
very full circle.
Nice Hair has been open for how long?
We will be 5 years.
5 years. And in those 5 years, you have changed the walls how many times?
Well,
I feel like Nice Hair has become her art project.
Yeah.
It's a gallery, literally. And I think that's so awesome because you have broken the mold of like what a salon is.
yeah, I started changing it the beginning of last year. And this is like after the pandemic and coming back to being open. But I was like, I need it to look different. I need it to feel different because every time I came to work, I was like, it feels like a pandemic in here. So I was like, it needs to like look and feel different. I was like, well, let's just take a chance and paint the walls. If it looks like crap, we'll just paint over it.
So crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
That goes for everything
So
in
easy.
business too.
If it doesn't, if it doesn't work,
change it.
then we just do something else.
You have a degree in art history?
I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts.
A Bachelor of Fine
from the
Arts.
Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design in printmaking.
You can only say it like that. Ever.
I do. That's why I did.
I know now that you've become a coach, which I want to touch on in a minute. One of your things is you want to bring critique to hairdressers.
Yeah.
Because it's something that we don't utilize properly, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain to people what an artist critique is and how it would benefit and relate to the hairdresser?
Totally. So I'll just reflect on my time as an art school student. So we would have a project, right? You have an art project, you create a piece, you pour your heart into it. And then at the end of that time, everybody puts all their work on a wall and you basically talk about everyone else's work. And the comments and criticisms and questions are meant to be constructive, but it is grueling where you're like, you hate my painting, you hate my work, or through that process, like you can see the artists who are like bullshitting their way through it. They're like, I didn't have enough time. I just threw it together, but I'm going to come up with this elaborate reasoning about why it looks like this or why I chose this color. And
Hairdressers do that too.
we do that.
We lie to ourselves.
Yeah,
all
we're
the
like,
time.
I worked so hard on this. And you're like, you're doing the same thing you always do. But through that process of like meeting with your peers and looking at the work that you've done and having them be like, well, why did you do it this way? Right? In hairdresser land, we're like, what do you mean? Right? We get very offended. But in the art world, it's like this very powerful, supportive, constructive criticism of like thinking more about why you make the choices that you make. Like, well, why did you place the highlight here? And people be like, well, I don't know. I learned it in a class. But asking those questions and thinking more about it as an artist, then you're like, oh, but like for this person, it does highlight like their cheekbone or like it makes the low light look a little bit different.
It's not a quiz.
Yeah.
It's not robotic and like an attack. It's
It's critique, it's questioning, it's critical thinking.
going deep.
And like more of those conversations really do build up how you understand the work that you do and not that you need to always defend yourself, but I mean, that's something that, I did in art school as well, was like at the end, you create a thesis and then you have a verbal defense is what they call it, like a visual and a verbal defense.
Can you imagine doing that in hair salon?
Yeah. You present your work to people that you've invited to critique you.
That would be more beneficial than a state board.
I agree.
100%. But I invited, in my thesis defense, I invited artists and instructors and professors from my school that I knew were going to really be challenging. Like, I didn't pick the ones who I knew were going to like really like my work and like give me a fluffy show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they were really going to ask questions and challenge me to think more about it and make sure that I was strong in like my own like artist statement and seeing that theme all the way through. And yeah, as a hairdresser, it's been a really interesting ride to be like, why aren't we challenging each other more?
Yeah.
And why aren't we supporting each other in a healthier, more constructive dialogue than just like, it looks great, LOL, emoji. Like, thank you. And also, then don't get really offended if I'm like, oh, why did you use this gloss? They'll be like, what do you mean? Right? Like,
especially if you're posting it, you're putting it out for the world to critique.
Yeah.
So we have to also be okay with the good and the bad coming at it. And yeah, sometimes it sucks. And sometimes you're just like, that person's an asshole. Or,
But an artist critique, you're choosing who you're getting feedback from, I think, which is really important.
It's more proactive.
Way more proactive.
Well, and you're seeking people who are going to challenge you versus the people who are just going to tell you, that's beautiful, good job. Like, we've got family and friends for that. They're like, it looks great.
Yeah.
Because they love us no matter what.
Right.
But if you actually want to better yourself, it has to come from a place of uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Being uncomfortable. What if you could still give your clients great hair with less products? What if that product line made you money with less inventory on the shelves? What if that product line was also made with gentle ingredients, is biodegradable, and the packaging is refillable? All this may seem impossible, but with Hair Story, it is possible. Hair Story is a brand that is equal parts mindful as it is great hair. Give your clients amazing products while filling your bank account with extra cash. Ready to try New Wash for free? Visit hairstory.com/DTH to get pro access today.
So you were a student for 3-4 years?
I don't know.
$1 billion in 2 years.
And then when you became a coach, what was that experience?
She became a coach in 2018.
2018.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like?
I was only a student for I was a student for about a year.
About a year, yeah.
That's it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we opened the salon really quite quickly.
Wow.
Bam.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was like, did that, want a coach.
What was it like going from student to coach?
Well, what's funny is I remember when the both of you asked me, because I think you were out together and one of your phones was dying, but you wanted to FaceTime me, but you couldn't. But you were like, we have to ask you something. It was like later in the evening than what would have normally been like
appropriate hours.
This
is where we had a real like team.
Our coaching hours. But I got a text from you and you were like, can I ask you a question? And I was like,
will you go out with me?
Check yes or no.
Yes, no, maybe. And I was like, of course, because if your coach says, can I ask you a question? You say yes. And you were like, do you want to be a coach? And then you both were trying to FaceTime me. And it was funny because it didn't happen. But then we talked about it later.
We hired 4 coaches with you. Well, you were one of 4. And you're the only one.
Last one standing from that group.
The OG. Mm-hmm. The OG juice.
What was it like for you switching roles and changing worlds?
I mean, I think that it was just always something that I think I wanted to do. And like being also like a cosmetology instructor and being kind of the leader in the salons and then becoming a boss. While becoming a coach was like really scary and intimidating and like another, like the next step to be able to help other people. For me, it was like a really validating thing to say, now you're going to help all the other people sweat.
You're so good at it. You're so good at it. And I love like watching you. Like I'll be scrolling on some platform and you'll pop up and I just like, if I know like I'm stopping to watch you and your words are so impactful and so powerful, like I can't imagine everyone that's hearing them for the first time. like what that's going to do, like that
And
moment.
You were such a perfect example of a coach. That's why we wanted to hire you. Did every DTH method. I think you were the first person ever to actually implement all the DTH methods.
You were the first future-proofed.
Dang.
Before you even knew what you...
Yeah, you were.
Before it even had a name.
And so now you're coaching. You have a salon which your students or your staff members are getting coached. Now you have students that are getting coached, and now you're the head coach. You're helping us coach the coaches, which is so cool.
Coach. Do you, as a DTH salon owner, what do you think what's your favorite method, or what method has impacted you the most?
I mean, I dig on some hourly pricing because it's simple, especially being an artist, like packaging everything up into a very clean system, very transparent. And upfront, I love that one. I think the most transformative, though, for me was the way that we do meetings with the team.
You and me?
You and me's.
Yeah. Yams.
Now shortened to yams.
Yams.
Against my will.
Because like the different like station sharing always made sense to me. Pricing always made sense to me to make it simpler. Having everything streamlined, getting rid of retail, like those things have always just really clicked and made a lot of sense. I think the most impactful thing was having a different way to meet with your team.
That wasn't numbers focused all the time.
That wasn't like, well, you've had this much sales and now you get to get more commission and now it's not good enough.
You were going to get a bonus, but you missed it by $1.
Not really.
Surprise, you missed it by $1.
What are you going to do next time to hit that benchmark?
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll secretly add it to my friend Susie's ticket so it goes under my name. Yeah. Like we had to configure all these dumb ways to like get our extra commission.
Yeah.
Your $20 extra?
Your extra whatever.
What was the hardest method for you to connect with, or like in the coaching?
I can answer that for her.
Answer it for
as
me.
As a student, like what was when you got the method and you were like, what are we doing? Like, what was the one that you just were like, no, I don't think I can do that?
What are you going to say?
What are you going to say?
I want you first.
You first, because I'll definitely chime in.
I think removing gratuity.
Wrong answer.
What was it?
Her front desk.
Oh, that.
But that I got. No, I understood.
That was the most transformational, I think.
Oh, okay.
The whole time, I definitely understood. And immediately when I put it in, I was like,
Let's preface. Kate opened a DTH salon, but decided to put a ginormous.
It was the biggest thing. We could have slip and slide across it.
It was basically you could host a party.
Absolutely.
Well, I wanted to be able to like spread all my artwork out and do stuff. You know, a work table.
Yeah.
But then the transformation was that you got rid of it and added 2 stations, which I think.
Yeah.
That was even cooler.
That was even cooler to see that whole process.
I would say that didn't feel hard to me. That felt like fun.
Yeah.
But gratuity?
Was hard.
Removing gratuity was a weird thing because I knew that it would affect the team in a weird way. And I would definitely have to have more confrontation than I had with them before. And like that's something that is, it can be really scary. Be like, well, if you don't like it, bye.
And when you, like the team you have now and the things you're doing now, what does your team connect with the DTH methods? And like, I think people are interested, like what teams think about all this.
They love that there's no front desk. They love that there's no phone and they get to communicate with their clients directly. They love you and me's. They love time-based pricing. Some of them struggle with it, and that's kind of part of the fun of it. They love, I don't know. I do have a really good team right now that they understand why it is the way it is. They also really understand open door policies.
Love that.
Yeah.
They don't feel trapped.
They don't feel trapped. Some of them do also work at other places, and they like it.
Yeah.
It's good.
how do these methods help and affect you as a leader and an owner?
Well, I would say that sometimes I feel like, what do I even do here?
I've had more calls with you where you're like, Cyd, I'm bored. My salon's thriving and I don't know what I want to do next.
Yeah, like I know that, like that's why I keep painting the walls because I'm like, I mean, I need to want to do something here and be helpful and be a presence and be creative. But I mean, everything, knock on wood, is running fairly smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
And we, just continuing to grow the team and kind of figure out, I don't know, having fun.
Yeah.
I just want to have some fun.
There's a lot of people that are listening that are salon owners that dream about the day they don't have to do hair anymore. But what are some of the hangovers of that? What are some? It's not as I think it's not as glorious and lovely all the time as people think.
Not pretty.
I
was your
miss it.
experience? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, and I was just sharing this with a friend the other day that, I don't have that kind of like, the human connection that I have is different with people now. Like you're a boss, you're a leader, you're a coach, you're a mom. Like you're kind of at the tippity top and kind of helping everyone else. But when you're behind the chair, like you have this really great like conversation with people and you're creating something. And it's really at some point in your career, like the easiest thing that you do.
Mm-hmm.
And so like now I'm like, man, I miss doing hair. I enjoy it. It's fun. I'm good at it. And
now you can do it like
However you
with
want.
consciousness, however you want, versus, we get so trapped of feeling like so many salon owners feel like they have to be the highest provider within their business versus just being like, I've earned this and created this and now I can just have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why we all went into this career. And it turned left real quick.
Kate, what are some words that you would share with someone who's listening that may be afraid to jump into Destroy the Hairdresser?
I think I would have to end it with, just fucking do it.
You know who else ended their episode that way?
There's nothing
Frankie.
to it.
Frankie said, just fucking do it. And then we sang your song.
Yes.
So now they get to actually hear your song.
Every coach has to end that way.
And Coach Rachel, how do you do it? Just fucking do it. There's nothing to it. I think I messed it up actually.
No, that was it.
My song.
I'm an avid listener to the band and I know those are the lyrics.
And then the end goes, DTH, ow! So maybe you missed that in the Frankie episode. But now
We did.
you
But
got
now we know.
the full from the artist's mouth.
So you're telling people, just do it.
Just jump.
I say, when I made some changes in my career, some wonderful words that a client said to me was leap and the net will appear.
Oh.
Did the net appear?
It did.
Oh, okay, good. Thank God.
She's still falling.
Hey, thank you for being on the
I
show.
love this.
Thanks for reminding me 5 years later.
We won't
She's
wait
not
another
bitter.
5 years. Next time we'll go deeper into some other things. But I think
Maybe
giving people a chance to know the coaches, I think is so much fun.
I mean, just see how much we love them.
Yeah. Thanks, Kate.
Love you.
Next time on Destroy the Hairdresser, the podcast.
Isn't every haircut we do gender affirming?
Yeah.
Is that the whole point of, not that everyone comes in.
This is
as-
outside of a service menu, just for clarity. But like when someone sits in your chair, you are giving them what they want, which in itself is affirming.